So Doom the Dark Ages kicked off the Xbox showcase, and Gears of War ended it, which I think a lot of us expected. However, it's not the Gears of War a lot of us were expecting. I think most of us thought, well, it's going to be the Gears of War Marcus Phoenix collection, which has been heavily rumored and supposedly was in testing. And then maybe some kind of cinematic teaser for a Gears of War 6 next year. But no, somehow we got neither of those things. Instead, we got a trailer for, well, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to break it down. Let's turn the sound down. So yeah, this kicked off, and I didn't realize it was Gears of yeah. For a second, I was thinking God of War. I didn't realize it was Gears of War at first, but there are little hints here, like stuff that's written on the TV that says, what does that say? Something. Oh, I should have noticed. It says UIR. Something war is over. Yeah, the UIR. That's a faction that was in. That would have, if I had noticed that would have given it away immediately. So I couldn't tell what was going on for the first few seconds, and then civil emergency message, again, that didn't clue me in at all. This really doesn't show us much. Welcome home. I don't know. Like, I think this might just be a random person's house. I don't think it's. And then here is where I thought at first this was. At first I thought it was Marcus, and then as the trailer went on, I'm like, wait, maybe that's JD because he started to look like JD. And then you get a Gears of War 1 through 3 era Locust, and I'm like, okay, right here is where I'm like, this is the collection. This is a cinematic teaser for maybe Gears 2 remastered. I thought it was just a new cinematic for it, but no, it's not what it is. He loses his bandana, and when you see his hair, I was like, that's JD. But no, it is cool that they're kind of making young Marcus look more like JD. And also, I missed this. That little figurine was apparently a Coltrane figurine. Let me see if I can pause it on it. I didn't get a good look at it. Yeah, that's the Coltrane. So that says Kelowna District. Follow safety protocols, proceed to nearest shelter. I don't know what that means. I don't know where Kelowna is. He just throws the TV at his face. Yeah, and if you notice, he's got the Retro Lancer. That should have clued me in too. He's got the blade on it instead of the chainsaw, because they hadn't created that Lancer yet. So it's weird how different Marcus looks when you see him with hair. He looks so much like JD here. Pulls it out of the wall, stabbed, head gone. So this tells me we're going back to the gory days and the glory days of Gears of War. Because a lot of people have pointed out, and I agree, Gears of War has gotten a little bit away from the dark horror aesthetic that the first three had. 4 and 5 are a little bit more colorful, maybe a little more cartoony. There's definitely still gore, but not to the level that there's nowhere near the amount of blood. And then here, this part was great. Obviously, I don't have any sound playing, but you hear Mad World playing quietly, and guess who it is? It's Dom. And now it makes sense why, I think last year or 2 years ago, the actor that played Dom posted something weird on his Twitter. He was like, you guys have no idea what's coming. And it was like him posing with a Lancer. And it was for this, because we're going to get a whole nother game with Dom in it. Same voice actor. So by this point, when I'm watching this live, I'm like, what on earth is this? I don't think it's the collection now. I'm no longer convinced. I'm like, what is it, Tactics 2 or something? Gears Tactics 2? And if this is representative of what they look like in the game, like, man, Coalition on UE5, they know what they're doing. And then they look out and they see wherever this is, some city that is not yet ruined. Because I think by the time of Gears 1, a lot of the cities are kind of screwed over. But you see a corpse or come out of the ground. Where is it? Right there? Yep. There's one over there too. So then the first thing I notice, Of War is back. And it's the original font. Remember they changed the font for 5 and people hated it. And dropping Of War was stupid. I think it actually cost them sales. Calling it just Gears 5, maybe the SOE on that is going to be different. And I think it actually, people were like, is this Gears of War? Like, they were actually that confused by it. So cool that they're going back to classic. And then E-Day. That's when I'm like, so it's a prequel then. Huh. And I'm kind of two minds of this. first of all, I think it's a brilliant idea because E-Day is essentially the equivalent, the Gears of War equivalent to, well, actually, it's more like Contact. I was going to say The Fall of Reach, but it's basically like Contact Harvest, the book from Halo, where they first encounter the Covenant. That they never made a game of that. That would be cool one day to get a Contact Harvest game. But this is like that, but for Gears of War. It's E-Day, which is Emergence Day. It's when all the locusts came out of the ground. I think it's covered in some of the books, but in Gears 1, I think it's been years that they've been fighting. So there's actually a lot of potential. I know Judgment was a prequel, but there's a lot of potential to explore that time period back when Marcus was young. And I think it's probably a good idea to, for now, move away from 4 and 5 because I got to figure out the story for 6. And I think part of what this is, and I also theorize that the Gears collection is still happening, especially with this, because if you're going to go back and tell a story before Gears 1, then it makes sense to let people play the next 5 games, because Gears 1 would come after this. So, and I found out that I didn't even know this. The only Gears of War games on PC are 5 and Tactics. So there's this whole PC market that's never even played them. So I could see maybe at Gamescom or later this year, maybe early next year at the developer direct, they announce, hey, actually we've been doing Marcus Phoenix Collection. So I think that may drop before this game. Some theorize this is a next-gen game, which is kind of insane to think about. But I have no idea. So that means we're not going to see the resolution of that cliffhanger after Gears 5 for a long time, because there's no date on this. This might be 2 years out. I'm hoping not. But I think the reason why they're doing this before 6 is something in the story will tie into 6. And I think it's they're getting used to the engine. This is the first Gears made on Unreal Engine 5, so they're getting their feet wet with the engine by doing a prequel, and then they're going to be prepared to do 6. So yeah, I definitely think we'll get this, the collection, and then 6. So it's their big return after like a 5-year break. Because Halo, I'm not surprised we didn't see Halo today. They're going to have to do some soul searching and figure out what they're doing next. But this has some serious potential to be, I mentioned Halo Reach. I think it could be, the story is like Contact Harvest, but I think it has a potential to be a Halo Reach-like story. Where it's probably going to have a tragic ending. But, well, our 2 main characters, if they are the 2 main characters, can't die, obviously. But there will be probably a bunch of others that die. And we'll see how they get shaped as people and then how we meet them. We'll probably see how they end up in, like, right up to Gears 1 where they end up in jail. They'll do full circle. So, yeah, honestly, this is making me want to replay the games. So, they did their job there. But, yeah, what do you guys think about doing a Gears of War prequel? Another prequel after Judgment, but it's the Coalition making it this time. Yeah, and there's tweets out there you can find. Cliff Bleszinski said something, and he thinks it looks awesome. And then there's stuff that it's talking about how, yes, it's the next mainline game. It's the Coalition doing it. It's not a different studio. For a moment, I theorized this is a different studio, and Coalition's doing 6. No, Coalition is all hands on deck for this. I assume, unless maybe there's 2 teams there, and the second team's doing 6. I don't know. I have the feeling they're all working on this. So I think it's good you're going back to what made people love the original trilogy in the first place. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you think this is the right move for this franchise. I think it is. And when do you think it'll come out? I think next year is probably generous, but we'll have to wait and see. So like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you soon for more videos about the Xbox Showcase. Peace out.